Hi everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel Dr. Sreenivas Medical Concepts and my FB page Dr. Sreenivas Concepts. This is Dr. Sreenivas, neurologist from Andhra Pradesh, India. I am also the medical author of the book Focused Neurology. Today we are going to talk about a very exciting topic, sleep. Sleep and its spectacular concepts. What is sleep? Sleep is a condition of the body and mind where typically it recurs for several hours every night, at least 8 hours a day. That is 1/3 of the 24-hour cycle, in which the nervous seems to be passive. But actually it is not passive, it is active. The eyes are closed. The postural muscles, the skeletal muscles are relaxed. And the conscious state is practically suspended. So sleep is a state in which the mind and the body, they go into a recurring period of quiescence for about 8 hours every day, wherein the eyes are closed, the nervous system appears to be passively relaxed and not active. The postural skeletal muscles are relaxed and the conscious state seems to be practically suspended. This is sleep. Why should we sleep every day? What is the necessity of sleep? Are there any important functions going during the stage of sleep? Why should we sleep in the first place? That's the question. Sleep is very important because if there's going to be 100 years lifespan, 1/3 of the time, that is about 33.33 years of the life, we spend on sleep. So sleep is very important. But why should we sleep? Many people may think that sleep is a passive process. No, it's an active process. In fact, sleep is a biological necessity. Sleep is as important as food for the survival of the human species. What are the functions of sleep? Why do we need to sleep? There are many functions. First, let's take memory. When we sleep, the synapses get formed well and get consolidated. And after a refreshing sleep, when we get up in the morning, we are able to memorize better early morning after a good night's sleep. That's why a lot of people say that if we study in the early mornings, we'll be able to memorize better. That's true. Once you sleep and then you get up after sleep, that is early morning, you are able to memorize facts better. The brain acts like a sponge ready to absorb water. The brain is ready to absorb any new material presented to it after sleep. So sleep plays an important part in memorizing facts for memory. And once you have memorized, we need to sleep to consolidate our memories. In fact, when we do polysomnography and record EEG, when a person sleeps, we see sleep spindles. Sleep spindles are EEG equivalent of memory. The sleep spindles act like files, transferring short-term memory to long-term memory. So, sleep is essential for memorizing. So, after reading facts and to memorize it, we need to sleep well. After memorizing the facts, to consolidate it and turn the short-term memory into long-term memories, which are evidenced by sleep spindles on polysomnography. And again, sleep is essential. After sleep, we are able to memorize facts better. As I said, Brain acts like a sponge ready to absorb water. So sleep is very, very important for memory. Before sleep and after sleep, memory can be consolidated well. And it is seen that people who do not sleep well, there's a 40% deficit in learning process. So sleep plays a very, very vital role in memorizing facts. So sleep is an essential process for memory. The second important function of sleep is cleansing. When we sleep, the intracellular volume decreases and the extracellular volume increases. So substances which are present in the extracellular fluid, they go from the brain into the cerebrospinal fluid and get washed away. Example, beta amyloid protein. We also have the G lymphatic system, G for glial cell, which cleanses the brain from the toxins like beta amyloid protein. We can measure it by withdrawing CSF and then measuring the CSF beta amyloid protein. Therefore, the sleep plays a very important process for cleansing the toxins, especially beta amyloid protein. And therefore, persons who do not sleep well, they cannot cleanse these toxins, the beta amyloid protein, and therefore they have more chance of developing Alzheimer's dementia. So when we sleep well, the chance of getting Alzheimer's dementia is less as compared to people who don't sleep well. When we talk about Alzheimer's dementia, there's a very surprising and spectacular concept about another dementia, frontotemporal dementia. It is seen that if one part of the brain gets affected, the other part of the brain may compensate, and in fact they can become really good at that particular work done by that particular lobe. For example, frontotemporal dementia. When the frontal lobe, when it gets demented and it gets atrophied, what they've seen is that people who are good in, they become really good in paintings. People who were average when they're normal, but once they develop frontotemporal dementia, they become very good in drawing, painting. They become really excellent in painting. They become really good artists. So if frontotemporal dementia, one side the brain gets atrophied, probably their skill in another sphere increases. So this is a very important aspect of learning. Another important function of sleep is growth hormone. As I said in the early part of my lecture that about 8 hours of sleep is required for a human being. That is 1/3 of the time. Of 24 hours, 1/3 of the time we have to spend on sleep. That is 8 hours. But when we see children, they sleep for a longer time, 12 hours, 16 hours. Why is that they need to sleep for such a longer time? Because growth hormone gets released and secreted during sleep. Since children need a good amount of growth, they need a good amount of growth hormone. So good amount of growth hormone is produced when they sleep. So infants and children sleep longer than adults. So sleep is very important for memory, cleansing, and for growth hormone production. Another important function of sleep is recuperation. Sleep is like an involuntary process, but when you are awake daytime, you keep moving about. You can do voluntarily many activities. Because of that, homeostasis may become deranged. So when you sleep, there's not much of voluntary activity. So brain tries to bring back the homeostasis when you sleep. Recuperation. So your homeostasis gets set in the night when we sleep. Recuperation. Again, it is an important aspect of sleep. Immunity. When we sleep well, the immunity increases. The natural killer B cells increase. So when there's a lot of immunity being produced in the night, they act as surveillance and decrease the production of cancers. So cancers come down because of increased immunity in the night during the sleep. So these are so many important essentials of sleep. So sleep is not a passive process, it's an active process, it's a biological necessity. It helps in memorization, it helps in cleansing, it helps in growth hormone production during sleep, it helps in recuperation, setting back the homeostasis, it helps to boost immunity and fight cancers. So sleep is very, very important and essential to life. You cannot forgo sleep. If you see the pathophysiology of sleep and the effects of drugs on sleep, it's also very interesting. Sleep, we have an arousal system. The pathophysiology of sleep, arousal system, wherein humans are in awake state. The arousal system is basically done by chemicals like histamine, acetylcholine. We have a system which reinforces this arousal system, which is done by orexin, a hormone. And then we have sleep promoting system, GABAergic system. So an arousal or an awakening system is done by histamine and acetylcholine, and therefore when we give drugs like antihistamine, that is chlorpheniramine maleate, for allergic purposes, persons will develop drowsiness and sleep because you are bringing down the level of histamine. It's a H1 antagonist. So when you give anti-allergic drugs like chlorpheniramine maleate, since it antagonizes the effects of histamine and brings down the histamine, persons go into stage of drowsiness and sleep because histamine is very important for arousal system. Likewise, acetylcholine is very important for awakening and arousal system. When you give drugs like anticholinergics like amitriptyline for pain relief or for prevention of migraine, again person as a side effect will develop drowsiness. Why? Because it's anticholinergic. Acetylcholine is essential for arousal and awakening, and therefore when it antagonizes the effects of acetylcholine, person slips off into drowsiness and sleep. The second important point is that the arousal system is reinforced by a hormone, by a chemical known as orexin. So orexin reiterates and reinforces the awakening system. If orexin decreases, person again slips back into sleepiness. Orexin is a hormone which can be stimulated by kinesia, movement. So here a wonderful concept is present. So when a person is about to fall asleep, he immediately shakes head or shakes his body. So when he shakes his head or body, because of kinesia, orexin is produced. So his sleepiness comes down, he becomes more awake. A fantastic clinical concept can be related to this theoretical background. So orexin, a chemical substance which keeps a person in an awakening state, is produced during kinesia, and therefore when we try to fall asleep, unknowingly we keep moving our body or shaking our head. Because of kinesia, orexin is produced and sleepiness comes down, person remains awake. The third system is a sleep enhancing system, GABAergic system, and therefore when we give drugs like GABAergic drugs like diazepam or pregabalin, person goes into sleep. Orexin, as I said, is a wake promoting chemical substance. It reiterates and reinforces the arousal and awakening system. This is a chemical substance which is produced and which is necessary for us to be in an awake state. But in a disease known as narcolepsy, person's orexin level comes down. So the alerting system is gone. There will be daytime sleepiness. Person keeps on sleeping. Because of absence of orexin, they enter the REM sleep directly. Once they enter the REM system, rapid eye movement system directly, they'll have eye movements and they have loss of power in the muscles. Because in REM there is eye movement and loss of skeletal muscle power. So when there is eye movement, they can develop all kinds of dreams, hypnopompic hallucinations, hypnagogic hallucinations. And when they have loss of skeletal muscles, they can develop cataplexy, loss of postural tone, because they enter the REM state fast, directly. So this is the pathophysiology of sleep and effects of drugs on sleep. So far I've been stressing the importance of sleep. So what happens if the person does not get sleep? If he goes into an insomnia state, that is lack of sleep, person's memory will be decreased. As I said, there's a 40% reduction of memory in persons who don't get good sleep or don't sleep well. The cleansing process gets affected, and therefore they are more prone to develop Alzheimer's dementia. The immunity goes down, they are more prone to cancers. They have diabetes mellitus, hypertension, and risk of cerebrovascular diseases, cardiovascular diseases, atherosclerosis. If the sleep is not present, adequate sleep is there, they become disoriented and they are more prone for road traffic accidents. The performance in sports also goes down. In fact, persons who sleep well, their performance in sports and studies get enhanced. As I said, sleep is very important for memorizing the facts, for consolidating facts. Likewise, the performance of sports also increases. In fact, there are some sports persons who sleep quite a lot to increase their sports performance. The beauty of sleep is that the physiology and the anatomy of sleep mechanisms are almost similar in humans as it is in mammals. So if we want to study the sleep mechanisms, we can study all these in mammals also, because they have almost identical picture. Mammals also sleep, they also dream. So what they did is that in few studies they've deprived rats of sleep, and then they wanted to examine what happens to them. As I said, sleep is very important for human being, for survival, as important as food. So when they noticed that when the rats are deprived of sleep, they die within 11 to 16 days. If REM sleep is deprived, by making the eye movements they can make out with REM sleep, they die within 11 days. If NREM sleep is deprived, they live for a few more days than 11 days, and then eventually they also die. So both NREM and REM sleep are essential, otherwise they would die. In familial fatal insomnia also, persons eventually die when they don't get sleep. So sleep is very, very important. It is an active process. Unlike a misconception that it's a passive process, it is an active process. It is a biological necessity. So how can we get good sleep when there is insomnia? How can we get good sleep? What are the prerequisites? First of all, we should avoid alcohol. Though alcohol may induce drowsiness, some people think that if they take alcohol, they get good night's sleep. They may induce drowsiness, but then there is a fragmentation of the sleep. The REM sleep phase gets affected. Likewise, caffeine. Caffeine enhances the awake state. Its half-life is about 6 hours. So when we take caffeine, again the sleep state comes down, insomnia. So we should avoid caffeine and alcohol. Deep sleep especially is affected in caffeine, whereas in alcohol the REM sleep gets affected more. What actually induces sleep? When we sleep, when there is darkness, when it comes from the vision and goes to the hypothalamic nucleus, because of the darkness, melatonin is secreted, and this causes sleep. So when you want to sleep, there should be good amount of darkness. So try to promote darkness if you want to sleep. There should be regularity in sleep. If you want to sleep at 10 o'clock, try to maintain a diary and sleep at 10 o'clock. When you sleep at the same time, the biological clock set to that particular time, and then it is easy for you to sleep at that particular time. You must have experienced it yourself when you sleep at 10 o'clock and get up at morning 6 o'clock, and this continues for a few weeks. Even without the alarm, the next time you wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. So when there's a regularity, the biological rhythm, it gets set. The circadian rhythm gets set. You wake up at the same time. So try to maintain regularity. There should be cool temperature. Cool temperature promotes sleepiness. And still, if you don't get good sleep, you can go and have a warm shower. When we want to sleep, we should not think of stressful conditions. When we think of stressful conditions, we will not get good sleep. So try not to think of stressful conditions. Try not to use mobile phones, tabs when you're about to sleep. Exercise is good for health, but if you just exercise before sleep, you will not get good sleep. So if you want to exercise, you exercise at least a couple of hours before falling asleep, before you want to go to bed. And then you use bed only for sleeping purpose. If the bed is associated for watching television or reading books, the brain gets cheated. It thinks that the bed can be used for other purposes, and therefore you may not get sleep. So use bed only for sleeping purposes. If you want to watch television or reading books, you can go to the other rooms. But when you come to the bedroom, bed, it is meant for sleep. So brain gets tuned to it, and the moment you enter the bedroom and bed, it thinks it's for sleep, and falling asleep becomes easier. So these are the ways in which you can get good sleep. Right. Now let's go to the stages of sleep. The stages of sleep can be measured by polysomnography. It is a study of sleep. We can use EEG to record various rhythms of the brain. We can use electroocculogram to record the activity of the eyelid movement. You can use EMG to record the skeletal muscle contraction. So by recording all these, using all these parameters, we can study the different stages of sleep. Basically, the stages of sleep are divided into two types. One, NREM. There is no rapid eye movement. That's why it's called as non-rapid eye movement sleep. The second phase is that rapid eye movement sleep. When a person was trying to analyze the stages of sleep, he was surprised to find when he is recording EEG, a sudden EEG wave increasing in frequency and decreasing in amplitude, which synchronized with eye movement, and he named it as rapid eye movement. So sleep has got basically two stages. One, non-rapid eye movement. Second is the rapid eye movement. Non-rapid eye movement, again you divide it into three stages, N1, N2, N3, where you're just about to fall asleep, then slightly deeper sleep, and then still more deeper sleep, slow wave sleep. So as you go down the order N1 to N2 to N3, the arousability gets decreased. You go into the depth of sleep. So the arousal threshold gets increased, and then there's a slowing of cortical EEG. Initially it may be a fast activity like beta activity, then it becomes alpha activity. The next stage you see the sleep spindles and K complexes coming out, and then again finally you go to the theta activity, the N3 stage, slow stage, a very cool stage. This is followed after about 90 minutes, you enter into the REM phase, rapid eye movement. Why this is named as rapid eye movement? Because there are rapid eye movements in this stage. This is a stage which is associated with dreams. So if a person is woken up from this stage, when he's just experiencing REM, he will vividly remember all the dreams. But if a person is woken up from NREM stage, he may forget his dreams. So REM stage, which is about 25% of the sleep, NREM stage is about 75% of the sleep. When a person is woken up from the REM sleep, he is able to remember the dreams better. The dreams occur in the REM state. There is rapid eye movement. So when we do EEG in this rapid eye movement, there is low amplitude and high frequency with EEG. When we do EOG, ocular movement, electrooculography, when you look at the eye movement, there is eye movement and you can see the eyeballs moving in all directions. And then when we do EMG, there is total paralysis of the muscles. They can't move about. In fact, it is the protection given by our Mother Nature. Because during REM state, we start dreaming. And on top of it, if we are active, we may go and enact the dreams and possibly cause injury to others. So though we get dreams, the muscles are paralyzed in REM state. So even if you get violent dreams, you can't move about. You're confined to bed. So Mother Nature has given a wonderful protection during REM state by paralyzing all the skeletal muscles except respiration, which you need it for breathing. But some states you have REM sleep behavior disorder, which may be a predictor, which may predate degenerative diseases like Parkinson's and synucleinopathies. The brainstem neurons are responsible for paralyzing the muscles in the REM state so that you don't enact your dreams. In persons who are likely to develop Parkinson's, clinical Parkinson's in future, there is the brainstem neurons being affected, and therefore the voluntary muscles are not paralyzed and they may enact their dreams. So this is known as rapid eye movement sleep behavior disorder. If it is present, they are likely to develop clinical degenerative disease, synucleinopathies and Parkinson's. The protective effect of paralysis of muscles is gone. In fact, if the paralysis of muscles is not present during REM state and if there is good power, they may start enacting their dreams. The husband may try to throttle his wife, thinking that some other burglar or a robber has entered and he may be trying to protect his wife from the robber, and he may think he's strangling the robber, but actually he's strangling his wife. He may go and stab another person when he's dreaming that he's got a fight with his neighbor. He may take a knife and stab his neighbor. So nature has devised a method wherein our muscles get paralyzed during REM state when we are dreaming, so that we don't enact our dreams. So if we enact our dreams, what is known as REM sleep behavior disorder, it predates and it predicts the future development of a clinical neurodegenerative disease, synucleinopathies like Parkinson's disease. And as I said, another important clinical point is that when the orexin is absent, which is a hormone which keeps us in an awake state, persons enter the REM state directly and they fall asleep. Narcolepsy. Narcolepsy is because of absence of orexin hormone, which keeps us in an awake state. So they'll have daytime sleepiness. Because they enter REM easily, they'll have the fluttering of eyelids. They are associated with dreams. And since there is paralysis of muscles in REM phase, they have paralysis of muscles. So narcolepsy has got a tetrad. The most important two concepts on which narcolepsy is based is about dreams, and second, paralysis of muscles, cataplexy. In fact, this narcolepsy, not only in human beings, as I said earlier, the sleeps and dream phase are seen in mammals and lower animals. In fact, it was witnessed in a dog which was supposed to have narcolepsy, REM sleep behavior disorder. Whenever it gets excited, it becomes cataplectic, it falls on the ground. So REM sleep behavior disorder, REM cataplexy, not only in human beings, men, it can be seen in mammals also. I said dreams occur in REM sleep. So fascinating. Dreams are not just confined to human beings. As I said, it is present in mammals and animals also. Why do we dream? What is the purpose of dream? There are so many theories going around about dream, but not one theory satisfies all concepts of dreams. The reasons being: one, it could be unfulfilled desires. We may be having a lot of desires, it may get unfulfilled. We are trying to satisfy our ego, our desires during the dreamy state, the unfulfilled desires. This was proposed by one of the greatest psychologists of all times, Sigmund Freud. He has written a book, Interpretation of Dreams, where he thinks that dreams are nothing but unfulfilled desires. It may be of romantic nature when they think of having a romantic feelings with a person whom they know. Or it could be of paranoid nature or a suspicion nature where they think that their spouses are not faithful to them. Whatever may be the reason, it could be a romantic, a desire for a particular person, or a suspiciousness of a person to be unfaithful. Everything revolves around unfulfilled desire and love. This was the theory proposed by Sigmund Freud and was well described in his book, Interpretation of Dreams. But others don't agree. There are many theories for dreams. Something that we dream because we are trying to find a solution for the problems. We've been facing problems during a lifetime, the daytime. We are thinking, we are getting vexed, we are thinking about the problem. And then probably the nature gives out solutions for the problems in form of dreams. This was one of the theories. The other theory is that especially children, they think of emotional attachment and bonding. They're bonding with their mothers, bonding with the family members as they grow up. Dreams could be a result of emotional bonding. Dreams could be a replay of day's activities which are going on in the daytime, and our body, our brain is trying to fizzle out things. So the replay of daytime events going on comes as dreams in the evening. We take the necessary information and try to fizzle out unnecessary information. So this could be a reason for dreams, trying to remember all the necessary important things which have happened in the day, which is getting replayed in the night. Another theory is that if you constantly think about a particular event or a person, it comes up in the dream. So constantly thinking or association of a person or an event comes up as a dream. So these are many theories doing round, but not one theory can explain the real reason for dreams, and it's a matter of speculation and research. So if we trace the history of sleep, how actually we started getting sleep, the history of sleep. On a comical note, our ancestors, an old civilization, there was no current around, there were no tube lights, there was only sunlight. So in daytime, our predecessors used to go for hunting the prey, trying to get food. And in the darkness, they can't go around to hunt for food. And therefore, they lie down on the sleep, which resulted in sleep. And the other reason is that they go around in the mornings trying to get food. And in the night, they are scared that animals or enemies, they can become prey to the enemies. And they want to lie down quietly and not to move around and get attention of their enemies, so that the enemies will attack them. So in the morning, in the daylight, sunlight, they can go either hunting for the prey, but in the night they want to lie down because they can't hunt for a prey. It's darkness, they can't see, and they don't want to move around in the dark because they may fall into the attention of their enemies, so they want to lie down. These are the reasons, perhaps, but we really do not know. It could be the reason for the sleep being evolved. But as the sleep starts getting evolved, probably other functions have taken place. Like I said, immunity is increased in sleep so that we don't get cancers. The memory gets increased in sleep. The homeostasis is maintained in sleep. The cleansing takes place in the sleep so that we get rid of beta amyloid protein so that we don't get Alzheimer's disease. So many functions of sleep might have evolved. So conclusion, what I want to say is that 1/3 of our life, it's a big duration. 1/3 of our life we spend on sleep. So if we live for 100 years, 1/3 of 100 years, that is 33 valuable years we spend on sleep. So sleep can't be actually a passive process. It is essential. It is an active process. It is very important because 1/3 of the time of our life we spend on sleep. It is as much essential as food for our survival. So sleep is as much essential as food or survival. As food is important for human beings for survival, sleep is also equally important for us to survive. So sleep is a biological necessity. We cannot do away with sleep. We have to sleep. These are the spectacular concepts of sleep. I've enjoyed giving this lecture, and I hope you have also enjoyed listening to this lecture as much as I've enjoyed giving this lecture. If you have any suggestions or comments, please post onto my YouTube channel, and please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Dr. Sreenivas Medical Concepts, and my FB page, Dr. Sreenivas Concepts. Thank you, bye, and have a good sleep. And have good sleep and sweet dreams. Bye.